us start our topic with the concept of learning theories. First, let us see what is called as learning. As we know, learning is nothing but it is a change in our behavior. Like this change, how it is happening, it could be based on the experience what we gain. So when we are very young, we may commit lot of mistakes, but when we are old, we know how to handle the situation. So that process of getting acquaintance with a particular situation is called as a learning. So we have a lot of definitions with learning. So learning can be like we are gaining some experience, and it is an overall experience which an individual is gaining due to his experience based on the probability. Maybe he is learning one thing from might be from his parent or from the environment. So it is like learning. Learning is a continuous process, as we know. And as far as the theories is concerned, there are a lot of views based on the individual. So we have many theories. Let us focus on very important theories for our better understanding. So first we will see the definition of this learning. As I told you, learning is nothing but it is learning is a process of gaining knowledge. So some knowledge what we gain, which is having some impact, that is a change impact in our own behavior. It is relatively, it is a permanent change, and based on the experience only we are making some changes. So it is like a change which is permanent in nature, that is resulting in because of the experience what we have gained. Now we will see the definition given by Mitchell. So this Mitchell has given this definition like it is a process where we acquaint some new behavior, that is we are acquiring some new behaviors. So this is generally it is like a change in behavior which we have acquired by practicing new behavior, and that will be a permanent change which is bringing in an individual. And we have a lot of factors which determine the individual behavior. And when we talk about the definition, there is another important definition which is given by Stephen P. Robinson, who states that it is learning is any relatively permanent change. So we are making some emphasis on change. So this change is a permanent change which is occurring, that is in behavior, which is occurring due to the result of an experience. So because of the experience I have gained or through some learning process have gained some experience, that experience is trying to bring some changes in my behavior. That is called as learning process or learning. Now when we talk about learning, there are many factors. So what are the factors which determine the human behavior? So we have the environmental factors, behavioral factors and cognitive factors. This cognitive factors is also called as personal factors. Because of this knowledge what I have, the expectations, attitudes regarding the behavior factors, skills, practice and self-efficacy. And with respect to environmental factors, we have the social norms, assessing community or influence on others. Based on influence, some of the factors we have inherited from our parents. Some of the factors is because of my friend is doing, I am doing it. So that is one thing. Regarding social norms, we try to acquaint, for example, when we go to a hotel, when we see other people using prawns while eating, we also start using it. So it is like a social norms which get into us. Regarding cognitive factors is knowledge. So this knowledge is, as we know, we have lot of information. How do we have that information? How do we put it to use? Then expectation. Sometimes attitude is sometimes will be very passive or very active in our attitudes. Regarding the behavior factors is based on the skill what we have and the practice. Some may be very good in singing, but they have to learn properly in order to put it in a practice so that they can develop their own ability on that particular singing. Next one is self-efficacy. So these are the factors which determine a human behavior. Regarding the four theories, as I told you, we have lot of theories, but we focus on more on this four important theories. First one is a classical conditional theory. Second one is operant conditional theory. third one is cognitive learning theory, and fourth one is a social learning theory. So before going to this learning theory, as we said about the learning, so based on the motive we learn. So this motive, as we know, it is like a drive which is prompting a person. See, I have a drive to achieve something. So that is more making me, yes, I have to achieve. Something is energizing, something is motivating me, something is making some change in my behavior. This is purely because sometimes I feel very happy. That is based on my mood. That is, I have some, for example, your friend is coming home. So in that day, you will have a very happy feeling because you're going to meet your friend. That is making some motive inside you, which is, it is like a mental feeling what we have. So we are talking about this motive. So unless we have a motive, we don't have call that as a learning process. Then there should be a stimuli. The stimuli is nothing but it is like a, see, based on the stimuli only a person lives. So when the stimuli is trying to increase, there is a specific reason can be there, and that can be because of that we have some specific response to it. So it can be based on the generalization or based on the discrimination. So when you talk about stimuli, when you talk about generalization, that is we are talking about the human factor for everyone, that is generalized human learning. So it is like based on the stimuli. Sometimes we have a new stimuli. So when the stimuli is trying to make some change, like you go to a shop, you look at a sari. When you look at the sari itself, you feel like, yeah, when you wear it will be very beautiful for you. So some stimuli has come. So when you go for a stimuli and when you ask your parent, yes, shall I buy? And if they say yes, the stimuli will go for a response and you buy the sari. That is the response to the stimuli. So that is with respect to stimuli. When you talk about the discrimination, it is like we react in a different way for the response. We want to, for example, you feel like buying a sari, but that time you feel if you buy a sari it won't look nice. Then you think of buying a sari, but you say, why you buying sari? You don't want to buy. Then you want to buy a leggings or a jegging. So in that case, the stimuli what has come to you, there is a discrimination, there is a change in the stimuli. Then there is a response to the stimuli. As I told you, it can be in the physical forms of attitude or perception. So when I have the stimuli, I have the response of buying that sari, that becomes a response. Then next one is reinforcement. This reinforcement is nothing but it is a conditional of learning. That is there is an increase on the strength of the response, and also there is a repetitively I want to reinforce myself. Then retention is another determinant of learning process, where we talk about like you are forgetting everything due to this extension. So that is you are not able to think. Then what you do is you try to recover things. Sometimes spontaneously, yeah, that day that happened, that spontaneous response is a retention strategy. Now we will talk about the different types, as I told you, learning. These we will talk about the thing. So before that, when you're talking about this learning theory, even the learning theories can be classified into behaviorism or based on the humanism or cognitivism or constructivism. So behaviorism is like somebody is giving us instruction or something has been programmed. So for example, in our childhood we would have been taught like when it is a girl child, we have to go know what is good or bad. So something like good touch or bad touch, that has been instructed to us. So we get some instructions, or through social learning theory we are learning, that is behaviorism. And regarding this human behavior, that is cognitivism, we talk about the attribution theory or elaboration theory or cognitive development or conditions of learning. Humanism is as totally it is based on the experience learning. Then constructivism is about case based learning, we are doing it, or we are undergoing some cognitive apprenticeship or discovery learning or we are going learning by solving the problems, or it is like an activity we are learning based on the activity what has been given, we start learning it, or it is based on the social development theory or actor network theory. So these are the various theories, but as I told you, we will focus on more four theories. So this classical conditional theory has been come into existence based on the Pavlov's theory. That so he has done a dog experiment. So the key concepts were four things. So first one is there is an unconditional stimulus. So this is a naturally occurring phenomena. Regarding unconditional response, this is also naturally occurring. So when there is a natural stimulus, we have a natural response towards it. Then conditional stimulus is we are creating an artificial stimulus. So based on the that see, when naturally when you look at a food, you attempt to eat, but artificial stimuli can be if you look at a colored food when it is having a very attractive red color, then we thought of like you have a salvation, like you feel like eating that. The stimulus that is called as conditional stimulus. So it is creating an artificial stimulus which is being introduced based on this situation, and the response is also called as an artificial stimulus. We have this response is called as a conditional response. So this is like we learn. It is a very slow form of learning, and it is also reflective, and I told you it is not voluntary. And it is not a best theory of organization behavior, because based on his experience, he has given this dog experience. So Pavlov is a Russian psychologist, and he has done his experiments based on his dog. So when he is teaching his dog how to salivate in response to the ringing of a bell, based on that, so he is giving food. That food, when he notices it, there is a salvation. This is, as I told you, it is an unconditional response. And we will see this is a very logical explanation here. And but still there is limitations to the study also. We will see this. So this is called as a classical conditioning. So before conditioning, there is a neutral stimulus and there is no state response. During conditioning, what happens is you have a neutral stimulus and there is an unconditional stimulus. And there is an unconditional response. After conditioning, that is, you are being practiced toward. So naturally, you have a natural stimulus and you have a conditional response. So this is based on the his theory. So this is an example I have taken for classical conditioning theory. So stimulus is if you are struck by a pin, or you are shocked by an electric current, or sometimes you are being surprised by a loud sound and tapped below the kneecap. So the response could be S stimulus and responses. Somebody is pinching on you, then you will flinch. Somebody is if you are entering into any room and you are just touching your switchboard and there is a electric current, then what we will do, we will just scream out or jump out, oh ha, like that. The reaction would be, suppose you are surprised by a loud sound, then you will jump or scream. Suppose you look at your friend without intimating she is coming, and if you look at her, the way how we will jump and scream because of happiness it could be, or sometimes it can be due to distress also. And somebody is tapping below the kneecap, then you will just flexes your lower leg. So this is a response to the stimulus, and this is an example for conditioning. As I told you, we have three major types of behavior learning. I have taken some example for you. So the classical conditioning theory, we have a neutral stimulus which is associated with their natural response. So when there is a whistle blow, you always think about the food. So in college, when there is a last bell, then we think of our lunch at home, that is afternoon meal at home. Same way when you talk about the operant conditioning theory, the response is increased or decreased due to punishment or reinforcement. See, you have to, somebody is reinforcing on you something. Or if you don't do it, you will be getting punishment. So you are being conditioned. Then the third one is operation learning. What happens is we are learning. So we are learning through operation and we are imitation of others. See, you can see the example. because his daddy is the particular child's father is washing the clothes, or he's kneading the clothes, or something is doing, and his son is doing it. So he is learning by observation and imitating his father. This is called operation. And next one is operating conditioning. So in this operating condition, we talk about the reinforcement as is shown in the picture, and we talk about the punishment. So operating learning is with respect to given by B.F. Skinner. So this is also a theory propounded by a psychologist. So he is from the Harvard Business School, and he has given us based on the behavior, that is a function based on the whether the response can be positive or negative. So a positive stimulus or negative stimulus it could be. And he said, sometimes when we have a very pleasant consequences to follow, then we have some increase in the frequency of that particular behavior, and it could be because of the influence or the shape, or even through some strategies. So as I told you, the strategy what we use is in reinforcement. We are re-stressing or that is like reinforcing something. So that will try to increase the behavior. If it is a negative, like they are giving punishment, then that will decrease the behavior. So we will see how this positive stimulus and negative stimulus are there. So something is being added, then we have a positive response which is called as positive reinforcement. So we are adding or trying to increase our behavior. Same way when it is a punishment, then we have a positive punishment. This will add something, or even sometimes it will adding something will decrease the behavior. When we have a negative stimulus, so we are removing something like a negative stimulus. So this removing something will also give some increase in behavior. Or negative punishment will remove something, it is also giving decrease in behavior. So removing something will also give a decrease in behavior, which is called as negative. Then this is with respect to social learning theory. So social learning theory is that is we are learning. So this theory has both observation and we are having direct experience. Here what we do is we are trying to do, like as I told you, I learn from my teacher. I have learned from my teacher, or from a supervisor, or from a superior, or sometimes even from my parents. So what happens is we start to display the behavior, like somebody will tell you, most of your activities like your father or mother, that is because we are learning from them. We are observing and doing from them. So in social theory, we have that attention, retention, then motor reproduction and motivation. So what happens in attention status is we are trying to stimulate, focus on something. And retention is we try to rehearse, do it, encode yourself. Motor reproduction is because I'm used to do it, it is like a practice. So because my father does like that, I have seen my father, I have written that, I have in my mind, I have rehearsed it, I do it, I put it in practice, and I have my feedback, and I get a reward, that is called as reinforcement, which is called as motivation. So here in learning theory, we have to talk about 3 topics, that is vigorous learning, self-reinforcers, and self-efficacy. When we talk about vigorous learning, it can be, as I told you, operational, that is observation learning, and this will occur when a person is being motivated to learn by watching, like see, your mother does cooking. When you look at your mother, you are motivated and you start doing. So by watching someone else work, and you will be rewarded. That is, you are getting motivated, vigorous learning. So here people are motivated to imitate models who are highly competent, expert, and even receive attractive reinforcers. Self-reinforcers is like desired outputs. See, I can give my best. That is self-reinforcers. Because I see based on the others do it, I do it myself. I have a desire to give a better output. So I give that. So you get a reward for that success. Then self-efficacy is based on the person's belief. I believe I can do it. I believe I can do it. So that is called a self-efficacy. That is, you are having a belief and you have your ability. I have the ability and I will do it in a very successful manner because of my behavior success I have in my mind. I feel I will perform in a very successfully manner. That is by bringing in some attitudinal change in myself. So people will only be motivated if they think they have the ability to accomplish the task. I'm learning. Yes, I can get marks, I can do it. So you are being motivated. When you will be motivated, I feel that I have the ability to do. If someone is saying you have to get good marks, when you will think about it, you feel that you understand and you have capability, you feel yes, I can do, and you will accomplish that. This is the process, as I told you: attention process, retention process, motor repression process, and reinforcement process. So when we talk about attention process, what happens is individual, as I told you, is influenced by the model. So we are attracted and we are very important. Then retention process is that influence will depend upon how we remember things. I feel that particular has been done by, like, my mother has done it. So I have in my mind retention process. Motor production processes after seeing some new behavior, that is by observing the model, I feel like I can do it in a better way, so that can be converted into, put into action. That is motor production process. And reinforcement processes, you will exhibit your modeled behavior and you will also get the incentive. If incentive is given, I will do it. So that is called as reinforcement. So this is the PPT which I am repeating for your understanding. Now you can have a better view about this personal factors, environmental factors and behavioral factors, because we have seen all these theories, and this is recollecting about the what are the determinants we have for here. And this is with the last theory. This is called as cognitive theories of learning. Here we are having more emphasis in cognitive theory. There is more emphasis. And this is a very good example where we talk about cognition. You know what is cognition is? It is like an individual's thoughts, knowledge or interpretations. That is how do we view about oneself? How do I view about myself, my view, about myself or my environment. So this is purely based on the cognitive theory, which states that person will have do it or imitate based on his memory what we have. So this what he has in his memory, that will be put into action. So based on the information what all I have, that will be collected, or from the events I have learnt that would have occurred. So this is given by Kohler, and he is the psychologist who has given this theory for us. So this theory, what happens is we are trying to discover and understand the relationship of organizing and finding significance. So this is based on the sensory experience around the situation. So here the environment is external situation. So this theory, what it does, it is trying to have a individual existence in an environment which is constantly changing. So based on the learning process, what I have learned, the concept, and what I have discovered, understanding, that will be put. So in cognitive theory, the learning is based on mental process. As I told you, it is based on the memory process, which a learner will take into. He will interpret, store and retrieve information. So there is a stimulus. So that is a cognitive process. So this cognitive process is what I have observed and learned. Based on that, I have in my memory, I try to recollect and put into events. That is a response. So in cognitive theory, we have a stimulus and we have a black box which none can be studied, and the response is the behavior here, and we have an input and we have a cognitive process, and the response is a behavior here. So this is how we have the stimulus and input has been connected. So we have to talk about 4 concepts. So first one is a positive reinforcement, a negative reinforcement, punishment and existence. So first one is positive reinforcement, is trying to give some positive attitude, like somebody is praising. So positive behavior will give always a positive consequences. As I told you, the negative reinforcement will give positive behavior but which will be by removing the negative consequences. That is, manager is stopping nagging the employee. So positive behavior is being followed when the negative consequences have been removed. Regarding punishment, we know when the employee is not given anything, so he is being demoted. It is an opposite of a promotion. Demoted. So here nothing but a negative behavior is being followed by negative consequences, and extinction is negative behavior which is followed by positive removal of. So like the manager is ignoring the behavior, that's extinction. So we will talk about the schedule of reinforcement, how we have scheduled all this reinforcement task into. So we will talk about the reinforcements, how this is being, so we have seen the positive reinforcement, this is negative reinforcement, and how this schedule of reinforcement and what could be their effects. So when you talk about the continuous schedule, then it is reinforcing. So the response will be, there will be high rate of performance, or you have a longer performance, or it also increases the frequency of the performance. So we have some a chart here, and this is the kind of schedule which is giving the response. So we have a fixed ratio, variable ratio, fixed interval and variable interval. So we will talk about each things. So when you talk about the variable ratio, here there is a reward, and that reward will be varying based on the relative behavior of the person, and it is called as a variable ratio, that is reinforcement. So we have the response rate is highest response rate, and the response could be constant and without any pulse, it will be continuous, and the extension is, it is most resistance, it is there because it is having a high response rate. In fixed ratio, we have a very high response, and the pattern of response is very steady, and the ratio is higher, and the pass is there, but there is a reinforcement is very low. So the higher the ratio, the more resistance is there with respect to resistance to extensions. Regarding fixed interval, then we have, it is a response is very moderate. Then we have a long pass. This is after reinforcement, and there will be a very acceleration, that is gradually strength picking up. So the longer will be the interval, and there is more resistance. Regarding the variable interval, this variable interval, there is a revolves are being distributed in time. So there is a reinforcement, and that reinforcement cannot be predicted when it will be given. So this is the variable interval time, and the because this is more not giving motivate, like it is only the response is very moderate. I don't know when I will get the reward or like that, because I'm not much known about it. So the pattern of response is very steady, uniform response, and resistance to extension is, there is more resistance than fixed interval with the same average interval. So this is how they have made the response sheet. You can look into it. So in variable interval, we talk about the first response because there is a random variance, and it will try to have high rate of response, and as I told you, it will have a resistance to existence. So this is given by as I told you, it is given by Fred Lutyens and Robert Creighton, and based on this we see this, and this is with respect to reinforcement and punishment. As I told you, reinforcement, we have positive stimulus which is presented, that will increase the behavior, and when we have a negative stimulus and that particular negative stimulus is being removed, then only your behavior will be increasing. In case of punishment, when positive stimulus is presented, your behavior will decrease. Same way, when negative stimulus is removed in the form of punishment, then your behavior will be decreasing. So